Good evening. My name's Amanda Adams. I'm the Assistant Superintendent at West ISD, and I wanted to thank you for joining us tonight, parents and community members. We have a special guest tonight. Miss Jeni Janek from ESC Region 12 is going to present tonight for us on digital safety, and we'll probably have some time at the end for any questions. We are going to record this session as well so that you can see it later if you need to review it or want to share it with any other parents. Jeni, thanks for being with us. Go ahead and take it away. Uh-oh, you're muted, Miss Jeni.
Okay.
Gotcha. I can hear you now.
Good job. Yeah, I apologize for that. I think whenever it started the recording, it was looking for a different microphone. This is a privilege for me because it has become one of my true passions, and that is to help youth who grow up with technology, as we know all of our kids are doing right now, to do so in a safe way, not to tell them that technology is bad or certain apps or certain tools are bad, but how to navigate and use them safely. I do want to highlight a partner that I have on with me tonight, and that is Mr. David Baker. He is with Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network. He is a liaison to ESC Region 12 and someone who has been in the trenches with me a great deal with crisis response for schools. He's a wonderful connection for mental health support. And really, that's at the heart of why we are trying to start this movement, is what I want to say. You see the term on your screen right now. Hashtag I had no idea. And as I've been able to present this across the region in several different schools with parents and educators, predominantly with adults, but also with kids, the one thing that keeps coming up after we have a talk together on the little bit that I'm able to cover is that so much is out there that we have no idea how much our kids have access. And conversely, and even more alarmingly, is what things and what nefarious intentions have access to our kids. And this movement is about us being, number one, aware and knowledgeable together so that we can start to intervene with our kids, because what we find is the one who the kids believe and listen to first wins. And we want our kids to listen to us, people who love them and care about them and want them to be safe. Because if we're not educating and talking to our kids about online safety, I'm so sad to tell you that there are others that are out there going to be teaching them things we really don't want for them to have to get into. So let's get started. The reality of technology and people today, and I will tell you that this is normally about a half-day presentation that I do, so I'm condensing some of the slides, but I want to get some of the flavor in for you, is that when we look at children online, this is kind of what we have come to mind. We're thinking they're these babies, they're able to access tablets, they're able to access all this technology, and that's the truth. They're learning at a faster rate than we can ever conceive. No matter what we're trying to teach them, they learn everything else anyway, right? And most of it's coming through technology. But the hard part is there's a little bit of a gap, and this is how they see us. And that's a really hard thing to have to accept, is that sometimes I'm looking at the screen just the way this sweet grandma is, going, oh my gosh, I'm a Gen Xer. I didn't grow up with this stuff, right? I mean, I've got a shirt that says Gen X, raised on hose water and neglect. I mean, I don't have anything that can even come close to what kids are exposed to. And when I do student presentations, I have a slide that says the 90s, all the memories, none of the evidence. And that's because we grew up as kids who lived our lives and we ran around, we were outside, but no one was following us with a camera. No one was following us with a video recorder. And I hate to say that's really a downside for kids these days, because every little thing they do or mistake that's made or all the things they're doing to grow, it's recorded. And I just don't think that's fair for them, because it gets relived over and over and over. And we'll be witnessing something that demonstrates that in a little bit. So with those generational insights, I want you to kind of go into this first segment with me for why it might be so difficult for all of us as adults to really understand what they're seeing and experiencing and going through. So here's a demonstration of how far we've come. My goodness, does anybody recognize what's on the right there? You know, that rotary dial phone that is an antique, and right now fetches close to $100 in an antique store. So if you go to grandma's house and she's not using hers, there you go. But look at how drastically different the world was when that was the preferred communication. And now we have something that at the touch of a button, you're connected to somebody. So the world's different. So in a minute, I want us to think about something that you learned on your phone that's a really cool thing. And maybe in the chat, or you can unmute and share what that cool one thing was. And I want to kind of put that up against what our expectations of learning are. We have this assumption in education that everything that anybody learns always happens in a classroom. It always comes from a teacher. It always comes from an adult. It has this contained space. So even with our phones, we're going to demonstrate in a minute about where and how learning can happen, and how the world is open for our kids right now. So just think about that. My message about I had no idea is that technology is not good or bad. Okay. It's a tool. It depends on how we use it. I'm not bad for driving a Honda no more than anyone is bad for driving a Chevy or driving a truck or a van. It's the direction we're driving it. It is how we're using it. So I'm not going to be one of those people that goes, oh my God, TikTok is all terrible, or Snapchat is all terrible, or Insta is all terrible. I'm not going to say that, because there are a lot of people that use it for the appropriate purpose of the connection that it is meant for. And there are times when others use those things for things it is not meant for, or in a way that has got an ill intent. So I don't want you to think in terms of what's good or bad for the technology, because it's a tool. It has no feelings. It has no life. It's how we use it. So let's kind of take a journey. This is one of my newest ventures, because I was very intrigued by some of the terms that I've heard used at the middle school level. So let's learn about brain rot. Yes, you heard that right. Brain rot. Has anyone heard of the term brain rot? Anybody right now? Yeah, it's a little alarming that this is a thing. And brain rot refers to content that is neither in beneficial for any intellectual purpose. It is just a waste of time, or just silliness that is just filling space. The unfortunate downside is that it has become rather addictive to youth who find just entertainment value, but very, very little above that. So when I started learning about brain rot, it was from this article that I see here, where it says parents and Gen Alpha, which is who is in school right now, with Gen Z, the tail end of Gen Z, but more so alphas that are in school right now, have unintelligible conversations because of the brain rot language. And how can you recognize any of these silly terms that you see? Sigma, Riz, skibbity, gyat. And if you're not familiar, as I am not, because my kids were millennial, the top of the Gen Z order for not being in school when this stuff was going on. That's as foreign to me as Portuguese, y'all. I have no clue, had no clue when I started trying to learn about it, but I learned about it. So let's have a little Gen Ed, or Gen Ed, Bridge 12 language, Gen Alpha vocabulary lesson to see how many of these things sound familiar. So have we heard of the term skibbity? Okay. If not, skibbity itself is just a weirdness term you can throw out to just say for any reason whatsoever. It's just general silliness, to be honest with you. Skibbity toilet actually comes from a Russian content creator who happened to put together a series of 3D graphic videos. Now, there's nothing gory or inappropriate. It's just really weird to most of us. And it is an actual 3D head that is on a toilet. That's the skibbity toilet thing. But this guy who created these things got 65 billion hits on the videos, and it spread like wildfire. So just when I thought that SpongeBob SquarePants was weird, this topped it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with SpongeBob now, of course. Maybe I'll feel that way about skibbity toilet, but probably not. So cap is, no cap, no lie, or whatever. Chuggy, something being chuggy is what you would call something else when it's, not cool. Phantom tax. And I think it's supposed to be phantom, Phantom, which would be the correct grammatical spelling. But I'm an old lady, so nobody's going to think that's cool. But that's when you take or steal something away and you don't give respect for the fact that it belongs to somebody else. Delulu, delusional, you're delulu. So that's kind of acting crazy. Riz, interestingly enough, is from charisma, like having the charisma. And another one that's not on here is aura. If you've heard of someone saying they've got aura, that's a good thing. It's like this force field around you. Bet is like saying that is awesome. That is, a good thing. Bet is good. Gucci is I'm good. You're good. Okay. So that's Gucci. Gyat is a part of the anatomy, the backside of the anatomy. So if you're saying that someone was looking at someone's yacht, then they were looking at someone's backside. Of course, I would imagine you could be creative with that and, say, get your yacht over here. You're not saying any other bad word, but it would probably sound really weird coming from me. But I always loved that with my kids when I misused their language because I knew I was misusing it and it kind of took the cool out of it. So it kind of became a weapon. And that was just a little fun game I had. But these are strange words. And even when I researched this a little bit more, I came to find that these three have a little bit of a connection because they were being discussed in a format called Twitch. I don't know if anybody's heard of Twitch, the website of Twitch. Y'all, Twitch is where ADHD must have been born because when you pull this up, and you can, and in the interest of time, I will not for you, but I will say, if you just go into a regular web browser and pull up Twitch, chances are you're going to pull up the actual platform, and so much is going on here. It's usually a gamer-friendly kind of place that people can share about games or do that. They have the users on one side, the game they're playing, an inset of someone talking, and then the chat on the other side. I'm telling you, you will not be able to handle all the stuff going on. But that's where some of these really strange terms come to life. And it's not like you have to download Twitch or go to your app store or set it up somewhere. It is put in Twitch and it comes up. So if it's that easy for us to access, it's just as easy for your kids to access. And I'm going to hover on this for a second to say most of what's talked about in here is just silly. Okay, just silly. It's harmless. It's just goofy little things about games. But one lesson I want you to think about, especially if you have gamers or you know gamers, is that the platform itself is relatively safe because so many people are watching. If someone connects to another person on the platform, especially if they're looking for someone vulnerable, they will invite them to go into a private chat of some sort. That's where the danger is. So if you have kids that are gamers and they're on the platforms or they're on the gaming and they're with lots of people, just like they probably would be if they were at Walmart, if they were in a populated place, there's some relative safety there. Okay. It's when someone tries to entice or pull the kid into a private place that's not where they're seen. That's when they start grooming. So be careful and talk to your kids about don't go into private chats or DMs with someone that you meet on one of these platforms. You can talk. You don't ever tell your personal information, not where you go to school, your team number, your place that you live, even your age. None of that is what anybody has to know. But it's the danger is when someone tries to entice a youth away from the main platform. And this is why. This is from actually a digital publishing company that posted about how you can see the silent generation. Well, there wasn't a whole lot of technology going on there, very little with boomers. Technology really kind of started kicking up. Y'all remember Nintendo and Atari 100 years ago. So it started there and then really amped up with millennials and Gen Zs. But that trust level for us is not as high because we know to question, we know to go, they're asking weird things. They're trying to get me to do stuff I know I shouldn't do. But Alpha Gen, they just trust everybody, y'all. And with AI coming on, there is a thing right now with AI that you can ask it, AI, tell me something about myself that I don't know. And it will give you this wonderful, flattering, and probably scary, accurate depiction of yourself. It's so easy to buy into it, but we forget you're buying into what a robot's telling you. Okay. And there are pieces of interaction as humans that robots are not going to understand. We know this as Gen Zs and boomers and millennials and Xers. Our alpha kids don't, and they're going to believe everything. So there's a lot of careful intervention, not saying the wonderful things about you aren't true, but careful intervention about what we choose to believe and what we choose to do with what I'm calling cyber empowerment. Empowerment means making decisions when you're online, because there's a lot more coming with AI. And much of it's going to be really great, and that's awesome. But there's going to be some things we need to stop or pause and ask about. Why do we need to be partners in educating kids in a screen world? Well, here's why. I asked you a second ago. Think of something cool you learned on your phone, something that you think is really awesome. You can put it in the chat if you want, or you can unmute and tell us. Anybody got anything? And while maybe you're typing, but can I share something with you? Have you seen Lemonade? Lemon8. If you go to the App Store and you download it, it's yellow with black lettering on it. It is Pinterest meets TikTok meets Facebook meets Twitter. And that sounds terrible until you try it and you're like, I've learned 800 hacks for lasagna. Okay. It's that cool. Okay. David Baker says, how to screen record and edit someone's videos. That's a cool thing. David, I have to ask you, were you sitting in a classroom when you learned this? Did you have a teacher? Because all learning only happens in one place. Is that right? What's Dave saying? Did you get it out of an encyclopedia? That's what it was. It was a World Book series at your grandma's house. Right?
It was my 19-year-old daughter.
Oh, man. Did you take an ego hit on that one that a 19-year-old was teaching something?
Right. It was actually for a presentation I was developing for Region 12. I was like, hey, I need to crop this video. And she showed me exactly how to do it.
And a child shall lead them. That's an excellent demonstration of the fact that A, the kids are trusting enough to go out and learn that, and B, there are times when they can teach us stuff. That was hard for me to swallow when I first had that happen. But thank you for sharing it. Anybody else before we move on? What did you learn? What is a cool thing?
Jeni, using an AI to plan a vacation. That was mind-blowing.
That is, it saves you so much time. Doesn't it save you so much time? I am so frightened and impressed and in awe of any time I get hung up on something to be able to ask a question and this brilliant voice or brilliant text comes back, right? And that is not something that happens in a building necessarily. Now, this is not to negate, of course, the absolute importance of us being in our buildings and being in our classrooms, because what will happen with AI is that we will become more enveloped in the humanistic connection and teaching the safety and teaching the benefit and teaching those things, because AI is going to step in the ring with us for giving facts and knowledge. Okay, so that's what it can do. But the point of that is, and thank you for sharing, is that learning can happen in our classrooms and everywhere. And there are great things about it. And that's why we're starting with the positive, the great part of that. And I have a illustration of what knowledge transfer looked like before the technology boom, which more or less was around 2012. All information and knowledge came from a parent, a teacher, an adult. Kids were listening more to the parents and adults in their lives, as they should. But they started learning a lot of other things, the skibbities and the Riz and the gyats. And I posted this one time, and I think actually Dr. Crowder might have liked this one. I go, guys, everybody who thinks teachers are teaching this stuff, I want you to know that teachers do not have a gyat lesson. There is no skibbity quiz. There are no teaks on Riz, okay? It's not something that the school has delved into as far as the educators teaching it. How do they learn? Well, this is an exercise that I did not put my timing on, but I'm going to go through with you real quick. I call it linked learning because one of the #1 platforms that kids still use is YouTube, believe it or not. And here's what they do. They have a concept of something that they want to learn. Say they want to learn the orange triangle, and they go, I'm going to watch a video on orange triangle. And they do until they see blue circle, and they go, well, I don't know about blue circle. So now I want to find a video on blue circle. And not only have I learned about orange triangle and blue circle, but there's also green ellipse. I don't know what green ellipse is. So I'm going to go Google the YouTube video on green ellipse. And now I've got the orange circle, the orange triangle, I've got the blue circle, I've got the green ellipse, and now there's, one other thing. So that linked learning comes together until kids or people can learn a concept, and before you know it, you're the world's best plumber, because you can learn a lot online that can help you get through and learn anything at all. And the story I like to tell, now that he's a senior at Tarleton, I would tell you, is when my son learned how to program and build a drone, but he did that by himself on his own, not in a classroom, and right under my nose. And so when he learned how to do that, all was fine and good until he went to a drone competition, and I get a call from an ex-FBI agent who says, that's not normal. How did he learn to do that? And I have to answer him, well, he watched YouTube videos. And I just, had to stop and go, oh my gosh, this was happening all along. And I didn't even realize it. Turned out it was completely benign, and he did a really cool thing, as most eighth graders do. But it was because he taught himself. And I didn't stop to realize that kids have that capability now. So learning happens anywhere is the lesson that we kind of have for this lateral learning. So now, instead of we have the parent or the teacher giving all the information, which is what we had in the first demonstration, that learning can look like this. So kids are teaching each other. And when I have young parents who ask, when or how old should kids be to get their first phone, or we're going to have contracts on them, and I'm going to have Life 360 on them until they're 18. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay until they learn how to do VPN tunnels and get around it, or they learn how to get a really small device that can disable your Ring camera where you can't see them coming or going in your house. That's how high tech and high level some of that communication can be. And it's not that they're being bad kids, but they're just doing what they think is just what any kid does, whether it's safe or not. But the learning is happening laterally and all across the way. So the scary part is without our communication, they're left at whatever's coming at them, and we're left out of the loop. And while they may have knowledge, they don't always have wisdom. And they may trust so much. Whenever I share it in just a moment, I'm going to share you the safety aspect in some of my videos. They're not able to see the danger coming. And I do a little experiment I'll show you in just a moment. This does have a lot to do with safety. Okay, this is a little racy. We're all parents. When I show it to the kids, sometimes I black out, the raciness there on the right. But take a moment to hover over this picture. I have pictures of my great-grandmother. There's one of them. They've sent a shoebox. That shoebox is in my attic. This picture on the right in 2090 is going to be somebody's grandmother. And kids may not think about how or what that could look like to their grandchildren. She could be proud of that. But by and large, it's a little bit hard to digest, thinking that every single image can be traded and moved around and shared so much, and you have absolutely no control over it. And that's a hard thing for young people these days growing up with. The one thing that seems to be most dominant in control, especially from a mental health perspective, is intimate visual material. And I tell the kids, this is the legislator's way of saying nudes, okay? They understand nudes, they know what they are. Because that is where the biggest traps seem to be right now. This is one of the videos that, and I said in the interest of time, because I think I have about 30 minutes, I'm going to, wrap this up. But this is called Your Photo Fate. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat. Your Photo Fate. And it's depicting what happens when someone takes that image and it's shared around. And I have to tell you, it is always so sad, because when I do play this video and there's nothing, overt about it, but everybody knows she went into the room, she took a picture and shared it. There's always girls in the audience. There's always somebody in the audience that's just like, oh my God, yes, that happened to me. And I'm going, honey, it's never just to one person. It never just stays with one person. And they're not thinking about things like their future college admissions, how someone can do a social media background search on them. And whatever essay you just wrote is going right up against whatever privacy settings you don't have locked down on your Instagram. So they're going to see everything. Employers do social media background checks now. And what's more difficult for me, and I know we have some elementary folks that are on right now, when I first started doing this, the high school version of Your Photo Fate was the only one there. This is the elementary version now. Okay. So it goes through the same thing, but more of a cartoonish way. that kids can see this. But here's the good news. I say to parents, you go find your photo fade, watch your photo fade. Then if you feel comfortable about it, whenever you can, show it to your kiddo. Say, I want you to watch this video, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe. And then talk to them about it. What did you see in this? Do you know if this is happening? Has this happened to someone else? Have you ever been approached for an inappropriate picture or video? Do you know not to do it, or what can happen if you do? And many times they don't think about the fact that that is handled as child pornography. They don't think about the fact that possession is a misdemeanor, transmission and sending it is a felony. And there's a lot of young teenage boys or girls who trade this stuff. And if at any given time that gets apprehended by law enforcement, it can ruin their future. And they don't know that. So it's not them just trying to be bad kids. It's them handling stuff and not even understand the full consequences of it. So I think that especially with our I Had No Idea campaign, it's really about making them aware, making our adults aware so they can keep kids safer. One of your best friends online for helping with this is NetSmarts. Okay, it's from the NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You can Google it. It's free. Everything on here is free. Go do some homework. Go do some digging. Look at some videos. Videos are a great way to get kids' attention because they're used to videos. And I'd rather them watch videos that are helpful and healthy and learning. And as hard as some of these topics are, if they're going to have a cell phone, if they're going to have full access on it, they need to see this. Because, as I said earlier, the one who the kids listen to wins. And if we don't teach these kids about these things, I am telling you that a predator will. And they look for vulnerable children. They look for those who they feel like by watching and stalking them might be susceptible to the lure. So sexting is on here, online enticement, smartphones, live streaming, cyberbullying, gaming. And I have a homework assignment for you if you haven't done it. This is a free documentary. It's about an hour and a half long. Sometimes I do PD just on this documentary, and it's called Childhood 2.0. You can put it in your Google window and search for it and bring it up. But it really dives into that generational gap, the reality of the things that kids are dealing with these days, all the way up into suicides. And I'm going to tell you, it's a little scary, but it's the tip of the iceberg for what's out there. And we want to teach our kids about danger before danger finds them. That is the whole mantra behind I Had No Idea. So I want you to consider Childhood 2.0, if you can watch that at some point. With the kids, when I do presentations, I go over grooming. Grooming is standard because it can happen to anybody. The average age and target right now for human traffickers is 10 to 14 years old. And I'm sad to say that that number is getting lower. The age is getting lower. It's very sickening as a parent. My own kids are older, but I can imagine with any child, that's just something I'm really, really not okay with. So I teach kids, report anyone who sends you an adult image, ask you to send images of yourself. If they talk to you about adult subjects or ask to meet you offline, it's not okay. You have to know a trusted adult. You have to know to go to the people that care about you and love you so you can be safe. And folks, I'm going to tell you, these predators are skilled. They will come at these kids with tactics that entice and buy into their vulnerabilities and try to get them to trust them more than they trust the people that truly love them and want to keep them safe. So we have to make sure our voices are stronger than that. I had the privilege of presenting with Maureen Molak, who's the mother of David Molak, for whom David's Law was named for cyberbullying prevention several legislative sessions ago. This is on the rise. You need to know about this. And I'm going to tell you, they target, and there's a group that's overseas called the Yahoo Boys in Africa right now, and they're capitalizing on the profiles of prominent young male athletes. Okay, they're going after kids whom they believe might have the money because it's become financial sextortion, that if they lure them in for the image or the video, they can demand money so that the image and the videos do not go to all of the social media platforms are being shared. So this is not just a message for kids that we think might get online and do something silly. Any kid could be duped by a profile picture that looks like a young, attractive 16-year-old female and be fallen into that just stroking of the ego to send one or two pictures, and it become devastating. There is a higher suicide rate we're seeing right now in response to this, so we need to get ahead of it. and make sure that kids know that if something bad happens online, they need to go to a trusted adult and get help. A couple of things about images and videos before we leave are that this is a NCMEC related site that is for stopping sextortion. There's videos from middle school and high schoolers that are on there. I urge you, if you can get that QR code, or just go onto NetSmarts. You can even type it in a Google window, NetSmarts Stopping Sextortion, and it should get you here. And I talked to a Gen Z person the other day, and I say that because I'm learning still so much from youth, so much from younger people, and I want to learn more, because if we don't, we can't help each other learn about it. But she said, Ms. Janek, I appreciate that you tell girls and kids not to put the nudes out, not to take the pictures, not to do the videos. But so many have already fallen into it. So we've got to teach them. If you've fallen into it, number one, don't do it again. Don't hurt yourself like that again. And number two, there's ways to get help. Stop NCII is Stopping Non-Consensual Intimate Image, ncii.org. And this helps with that fight, so that if someone is threatening a person with images, they've taken it, they shouldn't have, but it got out, they can go through and have a case made. They can also get a hashtag where AI, this is a good thing for AI, it will hunt down the images and it will take or erase or try to pull them back. So less is circulated in places they don't want. Kids don't understand that one image can be taken onto the dark web of any kid. It can be sold on porn sites of any kid, with or without consent. There's IP addresses attached to that. It's not okay. The other is take it down. Take it down is about helping youth if they have nudes online, if they have intimate images and videos taken, especially before they were 18, they don't want it out there. That can help combat the illegal and non-permissive use of intimate images. We first want to have the message to just not do it. It never ends well. It's not going to just one person. And people you think are watching it on one platform, I promise those people are people who are watching it on other platforms, or they're sharing it in ways you didn't maybe want or intended. And a lot of psychological and mental health harm comes from that. So here's what we can do as I wrap up with you just for today. And this is just a taste. We're working on a lot of bigger things coming up. When should my kid have a phone? I love that I found this resource about that. SafeWise. SafeWise has a great article on this and has lots of live links inside. Anytime you see something that has that blue, like see how on the bottom it says, check out our guide to parental, I got to move my thing here. Our guide to parental, oh, it's going back. Hang on. I got so many things covering up what I'm trying to look at. That's a live link. So you can go on and go into a whole other, like I said, that linked learning can happen from one article. But it says that you can give a kid a phone at any time, but social media has a legal age of age 13. And they'd say, honestly, the bottom line is more about maturity, but maturity in conversations helps set that foundation for safe and healthy use. So it's not just, oh, you're 16 or 15, here's your phone, good luck. That's like throwing the keys to a Ford F-150 to a 10-year-old. You don't want to do that. They need to wait until they're ready. They need to have training and education, and then be smart enough and be willing enough and responsible enough to make good decisions online, and not entertain the dangers that they're going to be out there. Parental protection is really good. Set it up where you have oversight from the get-go. Tell them that that device belongs to you, because it does. And if you need to take the device for them to be safe, that's a non-negotiable. You take it and you deal with that so they can be safe. Don't be afraid to do that. It's not the end of the world to go a day without a phone. When should you get a phone? This is Child Mind Institute. Like I said, it's one of those leak learning things out of the SafeWise. So if you pull it up on SafeWise, you're going to get to Child Mind Institute. I love that site. So much good stuff on it. And with this is an introduction to what we're trying to do with Region 12 right now for parental and educator support. We're starting the I Had No Idea campaign. I got a logo for helping with cyber empowerment. That means you take the use of your technology on your terms, and you're able to make those decisions for who gets access to you, who you call a friend, who you consider an acquaintance, how you can get help if something bad happens. We are constructing a website. It is under construction, but with this QR code, you get to a Google Doc, which has all of the resources we've gathered to date. And there's so much out there. There's so much out there. We will have this website hopefully up and running by the end of the semester or first of the year next year. And we are going to start having, I had no idea, cyber empowerment campaigns to help with this. So I'm going to leave you with some of my work that I've done with social media, interviews I've done with kids. I call them my consultants because I've never learned so much from a 13-year-old. Whew. And they teach me a lot. And if you want to know, you can Google Omegle and you'll see. But this is a precious one for my 11-year-old. I think we should be able to use our cell phones in class. And I know there's policies. That way, if our teacher can't find an answer, we can. Well, there's that, you little spry 11-year-old. And she said that completely in earnest, like she wanted to help. But this is going to hit you. And I say this because I know there's going to be a lot of parents that are not in the field of education. To the parents who are not in education, educators are scared to death of what they see. Okay, they are. They see the things that worry them very much. And they go home and then they tell their kids, you're not going to do this because this is what I see. We've got to break down that barrier. We've got to make sure that our educators know and our parents, if they're not in that field, know the exact same thing to be safe. That was a very alarming realization from a 15-year-old kid that told me that. And that's why we want to continue. I had no idea. It's why we want to make sure we are partnering with this work together. I do have another online safety, a little bit longer gig with the Department of Juvenile Justice coming up on November 14th. If you'd like to hear more, please feel free to join. You can scan that QR code or you can just Google for online safety, social media, and our kids with Department of Juvenile Justice. And I think with that, I am going to wrap up. This is more about our online safety presentations. The school has us do that from time to time with the kids, with parents, with educators. And this is what we want. We want kids who can use their devices in a healthy way. We want them to be happy. We know they're growing up with technology. We just want them to be safe. So I appreciate you tonight. Thanks for letting me join you, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I learned something new every time you speak, so that was wonderful. Does anyone have a question they'd like to unmute and ask or put in the chat really quick while we still have a couple minutes? Okay, well, if you have a question, still go ahead and put it in the chat. We want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Like I said, this is recorded and we will place it on our website. And again, Jenny, we can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. And we hope that everyone has a good evening. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.